What's up, guys, and welcome back to the episode of Night Call. So we're on night 6 of The Judge. So let's just get right into this. My voice hurts. Whenever you're watching this, it hasn't come out yet, but I just recorded Detective Butler, which is a lot of reading, so now I'm gonna have to read all of this too. So it's like, you open one eye. You slept badly. Sometimes you're so tired that you can't seem to get any rest. You'd like to understand how that's even possible. You get up quickly. And a few minutes later, you're outside of your studio. Night 6. I'm gonna try to get the most money in this episode because I genuinely need money. Because I have like barely any money. Okay, so why is this one blinking? That might be like a big thing that I need. If it just keeps blinking like that. I need a ride, Cabby. Okay, fine. Turv! He greets you with the bizarre tick, as usual. How is it going? No. Hi, Herv. Pretty cold tonight, right? His voice has a peculiar lit to it, as if certain syllables were sung to stop him from stuttering. Hey, aren't you cold with your ass stuck on that car seat of yours? No, I'm fine. Well then, enjoy, boy. I've got a place to stay in Passy. Anyway, you can give me a lift? Sure, of course. Great, mate. That way we stay nice and warm. In the 15 years I've been on the street, it's never been this cold, I swear. You know, some guys aren't going to make it. Shit. That tug goes for us, yes? A pause. His smell is gradually permeating the inside of the cab. It doesn't bring back fond memories, but it doesn't bother you either. Door open later, let the air out the cab. But you know, even before, sure. And don't think I ever told you, when I was a kid, I was never old. Never. A weird, uneasy break. Once dragged me to apprentice during vacation. All to do with me, liked to drink, you see. And the first night we were there, I broke a bottle of gin she brought along. Should have seen her. She threw a fit. Shit. She gave me a thrashing, but gave as good as I got. That's how we used to talk back then. She ended up dragging me by my pants, locking me out on the balcony. Icicles were hanging from the eaves. It snowed the day before, sure. I sat there for an hour, arms crossed with a cardigan on my back and underpants on my ass. I didn't budge. She was storming around the apartment, my old lady was, yelling at me, but I didn't hear none. And well, the cold didn't get me. Felt nothing at all. Wish I could say this day. What happened in the end? Well, it got dark out, she let me in, did. She was fierce all week. It was the last time we went on vacation together. And she died, number up, yep. Pause. I used to tell my buddy, Seb, that story all the time. You know, the tall black guy who used to hang around with me? Yeah. Well, he loved that story. He asked me to tell him over and over again. But I think he really loved was hearing me talk about my old lady. You know what I mean? Doesn't make us any younger, eh? The cab pulls up to shelter in Passy. Fuck, the last time I was here, there was a protest out front. Bunch of guys from the neighborhood who didn't want us to squat the place. They were yelling their heads off, sound like a bunch of goddamn sailors. Yeah, sailors. So I guess even those rich dudes have balls. He exits the cab. Thanks, man. I know I can count on you. Good luck. He rubs his hands together and walks towards the shelter. Well, that didn't do shit. Here or here? I'll go here. We also need to get gas eventually. Ooh. Yeah. Your next passenger has been crying. She stares at the floor and gives you an address in the nearby suburbs. You start driving when her telephone rings. The ringtone is familiar. Yes? There's a pause. Her tone is sharp and curt. Yes, I'm on my way home right now. She pauses, holds her breath. Yes. Another pause. She sounds annoyed. No, I took a taxi. On the other end, a voice gets louder. Who's paying? Well, I am. I don't want to take the bus home tonight. Come on, lay off. A new round of criticism begins. Look, can you just lay off? Yeah, we'll talk about it when I get back. She holds the phone away from her ear, ready to hang up, then pulls it back. Yes, I'm here. She finally glances at you. There's no need to scream. I can hear you. I told you. We'll talk about it when I get home. She rolls her eyes. Oh, come on. My life is not ruined. I mean, I failed one exam. Don't worry. There'll be others. Their voice is raised another notch. I'm gonna have to let you go. Oh, stop freaking out. Why would a taxi be more dangerous than a night bus, Mom? Are you? It's impossible to talk to you these days. I'm hanging up. She pulls her phone out of her face like she's afraid of it. You hear a ring, the same tune as before. The woman hesitates, turns the phone over in her hand, and decides not to answer. Sorry. I know that tune. Her face lights up. It's Lacame by Leo Dispis. We gave a performance with the music. After hearing it so much, I totally fell in love with it. It's such an incredibly soft piece. And in the opera comes from the priestess Lacame, and one of her companions go to gather jasmine for the temple, and sense though the love between the characters. And it's mutual. The two women sing, their words are very similar but not identical. You sing? No, I'm a dancer, classical, jazz, and various combinations. I've danced since I was a little girl, but I've been dancing even more than that these last few years. I love it. A friend and I did put our own oh my god, I cannot read. Our own photography to a few scenes from the Lacame opera ones we did a show. It was really exciting. So, the smile that appears in her face seems to have erased the tears. Thanks for earlier. By the way, I missed that last metro, and to be honest, I didn't really want. My mother wanting to have a very long discussion about my future, my career, and all the sacrifices she made for me. She's a cleaning woman in one of the fancy office buildings at La Defense, and if you have my bar exam, so she thinks. She taps her self. She's going to make a joke, but something keeps her from doing so. Her smile advances. She thinks I'll end up as a cleaning woman at La Defense. Your passenger sighs. She thinks I dance too much. She thinks it's all Lacame's fault. But mostly she thinks it's my fault. She heaves a huge sigh and stares at nothing outside. I studied, I worked hard, but I didn't pass. I don't believe in all that anymore. Now be warned, what I'm about to say will sound cliché, but I want to be a dancer, not a lawyer. My mother doesn't understand. You must work and earn money in order to succeed. She takes a breath. Sorry, I didn't mean to unload on you. I mean, I like pretentious little princess. Not at all. Thanks for lying. She smiles. The address you gave is not much farther. I mean, I know I owe my mother a lot. I have to stop being so self-centered, blah, 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 and I have to pass the fucking exam. She clicks as to force herself to stop talking. Instead, she keeps going. Mind you, she came to my Lakame performance. She pauses, tries to find her words. She saw me dance, and when we left, it's kind of dumb, but she didn't say a single word. And I never felt prouder herself 1,000 words. You pull up to her house. She takes her time getting out of the car. I don't know why I said all that, but it felt really good. Thank you. She disappears. Her tears definitely vanished. Okay, to a gas station too, but I want to try to pick up a passenger. Oh, good. I don't think I'll be able to make it. Sorry. I'm gonna go to this gas station and just get a few dollars. Because I definitely need to get gas. If someone tickles your nose. Around just in time to see a little guy in the backseat of your taxi. He remains still as he watches you. How nice to see you again. Let us not waste time. If you'd be so kind. And trick charge runs through your body. You start driving. Elysee Palace. The silence makes you feel uncomfortable. In the rearview mirror, the boy watches the street go by. Occasionally, he mumbles a few words. You glance back at the boy. Look, there are some other guests. You know, the president is famous in Paris. Everyone heard about his death. A crooked little grin. People come from far away to meet him. Some nights there's a long line of impatient guests waiting in the front of the palace. The president likes to joke about his unfortunate demise. Enough time has passed. It's delightful. Actually, he doesn't like to tell the story when I'm around. He says I'm too young. He forgets I'm over 200 years old. Or perhaps he thinks I don't know the meaning of the word felt. Okay. His face flutters. When you think about it, it's a funny word. He rolls the syllables over his tongue. Filito. More importantly, what a funny way to die. Died while giving head? What? We're almost there. Pull over here. I don't want to be seen. Our just pretentious as yours. By the time you pull over, the backseat is empty. Your chin itches. You sigh. Here, let me see where this woman is going. Okay. Your passenger is heavily pregnant. You go to help her inside, but she waves you away with a hand. I'm fine. Lola? Judging from the accent, she's not from Paris, not from France, English, or maybe American. Things just take a bit longer these days. She settles in, adjusting her coat around her huge belly. You gun the accelerator and set off. Physically, you find yourself driving more deliberately, not slower. Just carefully. You regard the woman in the mirror. She's staring out of the window with a 1,000-yard stare, her hands wriggling themselves around each other like a fistful of shakes. Your French is pretty good. She glances at the back of your head. I know. Where are you from? She sighs deeply. It's obvious not the first time she's heard that question. I'm from the UK. Wait, Manchester. I'm from Manchester. I mean, that's in the UK, but the distinction is important, especially these days. Say the UK and everyone assumes you're from London. I fucking hate London. You've driven a few fair British people these years. Most people don't speak a word of French. Many had an odd sense of pride in the lack of language ability. But accent aside, the woman behind you is fluent. I didn't mean to offend. She smiles away from the window and looks at your eyes. You try to smile, her face softens. Don't worry about it. You get used to it. There are worse things you could have opened with. She shifts uncomfortably. I don't know much about Manchester. Not even United or City. First you didn't get the reference, but she's talking about football. I don't really follow all that. Smart man, bunch of overpaid wankers kicking a fancy balloon about. It's, if not, oh, you're from London. It's which team do you support? Spare me. She pauses and runs a hand over her belly. We miss it. Manchester. Market Street on the way home from work. Frog Lane Park on Sunday morning. Bricky's tea and bacon barn. She sighs and looks down at her bump. She hasn't stopped kicking since we left. She's a feisty one, that's for sure. That's her French side. She's half French? Not sure it's half, but I'm the one doing the heavy lifting. But I'm definitely a good third, so. Yeah. That's why I'm over here. Hamid insisted a little bugger pops out over here. Get herself a EU passport. The smile on her face dies in place and she stares out the window again. And he needs to get out of the UK after everything that happened. You mean like the political situation? She sighs. Fucking Brexit. As soon as she spoken, her mouth folds an O and groan spills from her throat. I swear every time I talk about Brexit. Another grimace. She kicks the little shit out of my fucking womb. She rubs her belly and mumbles a few soothing words. After a moment, she turns her attention to you. Yeah, fucking B-word. I mean, no one thought it was actually going to happen. You see the campaigners on the street remain and leave. You pass them off as fanatics or something. I wasn't into politics, but when it's on the news every night, something leaks through. Something gets you thinking. Ahmed was more into that, and I kept bringing home these flyers, blue for Remain, red for Leave. Like it was a fucking primary school popularity contest or something. You look back and notice her hand go over her mouth. She starts plucking nervously at her lower lip. Must have been scary. Nothing was ever positive. Every argument, every headline, non-fucking stop negativity. Fuck it. Fucked if we stay. Fucked if we leave. Promises from every side, numbers, predictions, posters, billboards. A few weeks before the vote, no word of a lie. The whole fucking city felt like a bomb about to explode. People at work kept getting into slang matches about this bit or that bit. How could we possibly think versus you don't know what you're talking about? When the results came back, that there was about 20 minutes of celebration. Then the brakes kicked her and something harsh. Walking to work that morning, you couldn't help but judge everyone. Like, I wonder which way she voted. There were a couple of fights at work, like proper fights, fists swinging all over the place. If there was one thing insecure men need, it's something to throw punches at. How did you feel? Like everyone else, I suppose, confused, scared. By the afternoon, you could see none of the fucks in London knew what to do. Do you see the leave cunts on TV? Supposed to be jumping up and down about winning, and they stood there looking like they shat the bed. Which was, ironic, because that's exactly what they did. Now, we're God knows many months since, and fuck all happened except everyone's even more scared. Things got real bad after. Ahmed had a few run-ins with the Bricksters, the hardline knobs with Union Jack hoodies and Winston Churchill tattoos. Must have told him to fuck off home. He could deal with that. He'd had the same over here. But one group. We were together one time, and a group of them told me to fuck off with him, called me a traitor. It squared up to them. Things got tense. First time I'd ever been glad to see a copper. So yeah, we fucked off. Wasn't worth it there. Ahmed job dried up anyway. No one wanted to hire a foreigner. Been staying with us a lot over here, spare room. His mom didn't speak a word of the Queen's. Her dad tries, bless him. They love baked beans. She smiles to herself. But now this one's almost here, I don't know. I don't fucking know. She shifts again, her seat creaking under her weight. That's a sign you saw him here. What would you have done? I mean, if you ever had a fraction vote or something. How would you vote? I'd vote to leave. I read an article in the newspaper about the EU wanting to limit driving time per day for safety reasons. Another about how they wanted to regulate the type of cigarettes we can import. Something about how the bendness of bananas or something. You shake your head. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it seems you'd be better off making your own rules. Your answer seems to shake your passenger. She tugs her lip aggressively and her other hand balled into a fist. She sniffs. Everyone was so scared after the vote. Yeah, but before and all, we had to remain aside telling us how we were fucked if we were left. The leavers telling us how we'd be fucked if we stayed. But I saw Ma'am raise me and my brother on nothing. Nothing. Benefits didn't amount to nothing. No one wanted to help a black single mother provide for her kids. And then we get to the fuckers turning up at our house, telling us how much worse off we'd be if we leave. I mean, how much worse could it have gotten? When you're in the shit, change becomes very fucking attractive. If you had people offering you the same old, and others pushing for something new, promising change and a new start, how the fuck would you think you're gonna vote and the same old ain't giving you shit? What else was I gonna do? She sucks a gallon of air into her lungs and continues. Before the vote, it was about making our own laws again, stepping people 2,000 miles away telling us how to live. Her accent thickens as her voice cracks. It were about making sure we were looked after, you know? Ma'am's almost had her pension. I just wanted to do best for her. There was no talk of stopping anyone who ain't English living here. It weren't about that to me. She sniffs again. And now it's all fucked. You pull up to her destination, she fumbles her fare over to you. Sorry about that. I probably understand. Yeah. At least over here everything's well. Over there, I don't have to think about it every fucking moment. I never told Ahmed that I, voted the way I did. He wouldn't understand. She moves to leave to go to help again, but smile refuses like you. Really, it's okay. But I appreciate the offer. It makes me feel welcome. A few moments later, she waddles slowly to a door. Her hands continue to twist themselves into shapes as she waits for an answer, and she finally disappears inside. You sigh and set off into the night. Okay, now I need to get to the gas station. Here. Oh my god. Gas station. Right next to a lady. A fire truck files down across the street from you. Looks like a red meteor. You pull over and stop at the gas station. Not a soul in sight. The fluorescent lights irritate your eyes, and the smell of peas wafting from the space in between the pumps. It's a self-service here. You pay directly at the pump. The mini-mart over there must sell newspapers. The person behind the counter must see and hear things might be worth asking a couple questions. You have your taxi and are shocked by a familiar feeling that you're the last person on earth. Get one more. Okay. You get your taxi and drive over. That's why I wanted to actually go inside the... Oops. I want to go inside the market. Enter the shop. You walk into the mini-mart. The clerk behind the counter is undoubtedly the most ordinary person you've ever seen. Hi. I'm gonna buy one of these. Hello? You say. Should I buy a newspaper? No, I'm not gonna buy a newspaper. Good night, I guess. Leave the gas station. You enter taxi, drive away. I'm right here. Sure. You double park and wait for your next passenger to sign to the back seat. He looks at you like he appreciates you, and your taxi gives you his address. You start driving. A few words are exchanged, the weather, taxes, traffic. Then you can tell it's coming, the inevitable conversation about the killer. Some bits of information, rumors, things overheard. You make a mental note of what you've heard. Who knows, it might come in handy. Your passenger doesn't make a sound for the next few minutes of the trip. It doesn't bother you, you've had enough on your mind. The investigation, the judge, the bus sit. You're overcome with the craving to smoke. You nod slowly and glance at your passenger. Calm and still, he seems far away. Everything okay? Yes, thank you. He slowly turns his head and gives you an odd look. Disappointed you're talking to him. He watches you closely and turns back to look out the window. You keep your eye on the road. His silence becomes heavy, and you feel a strange sense of camaraderie with your passenger. You look at him quickly in the rearview mirror. He doesn't look familiar at all, and yet it's like you know him. A second later, outside light shines in his face in a weird angle. Looks like he's smiling. A few seconds later, you drive down. He straightens up. You park in front of the number he gave you. He pays his chair without a word. The door opens slowly, and he smiles at you. It comes from the bottom of his heart, despite how uptight he is. You're a really swell guy. Expecting that. By the time you collect your thoughts, your passenger is already far away, disappearing from into a building. A moment goes by before you turn the key into the ignition. Okay, one of these. Let me see how long these are, because I don't want to take up 20 million years. Okay, that's... You recognize a passenger getting into your cabin, an American guy who works for the CIA. He settles into the back seat, his clothes reeks of alcohol. Oh, you recognize the deep, mild voice and the slight American accent, the stories too. He's a funny guy, this one, both reassuring and disturbing. It gives you an address with a heavy sigh. You start the cab. Looks like I've made a mess of things again. He slumps back into the seat a little, as if he'd been knocked down on the head. I've been overdoing it a little lately. Darts me laid off the booze, or I won't make it through the year. His hand flutters nervously in the air. I was speaking Spanish all day. Got a splitting headache. My buddy from Cuba and me were at the meeting. Went on forever. He gives you a strange sigh, a farewell look in his eyes. We should have kept Cuba. Kept Cuba? Yeah, like 100 years ago, it belonged to the good old U.S. of A. Didn't you know? I mean, it wasn't exactly ours, but it was the sort of... Ours? What do you mean? You give a nod. We helped them gain independence, gave them a lot of help, in fact, military, boats. Those were the good old days. His sudden bellow of laughter gives you quite a... I bet you don't even know the American muff beside moved him. Beside? Yeah, the planes, you know what I mean? Like in the movies, done Corleone and all that. I don't know any of these had casinos there in the 50s. You know, you could go for the weekend, fat wads of cash, changing hands and all. The 40s, they sure were the good old days. The entire decade was... I'm not talking from personal experience, of course. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't even born back then. He gives you a wink. When I first joined the company, the old that's all they ever talked about. The good old days, the suits, the cars, how they go back to Miami on mornings and go straight into the office. I missed out on all of that. His eyes were half closed, his voice thick with emotion. But today, that's a thing of the past now. Today we make plans and presentations, we produce statistics and spreadsheets. He starts staring at you intently. We take turns, my turn one day, yours is the next, not the same anymore. You have to change with the times. Or retire and blow all your savings on booze. What exactly do you do? I'm a government facilitator. Oh, I see. I help people make the right decision, make choices by getting rid of the competition. Believe me, and this is coming from America, nobody likes competition. Competition is just a way of getting people all worked up. It keeps them busy, controls what it's all really all about. He taps you on the shoulder. Last stop, amigo. You pull over, the street is dark and lifeless, perfectly quiet. You see that little side street over there? You nod yes. The best part in Paris is on it. It's run by the Venezuelans. The owner, he could have been a finance minister, you know? But instead, he was the best joint in town. And all because his prefers meeting and spreadsheets. Tough luck for Venezuelans, but so much better for me. The roar of laughter nearly pierces your eardrum. He gets out of the cab, shakes your hand, handing you the fare, and then your eye follows his bulky form as it crosses the street and turns into the dark hallway. You sit there for a moment, somewhat confused. He's a strange one, not all that pleasant really, and yet smile. You stare up the cab. Home. Next, you've met Grace. I have 40... few minutes of day boards, new clues. You say overcome with the desire to sleep. You close your eyes, press your fingers and your eyelids and let it yawn. You crack your knuckles and get to work. I only think I really have one thing to add. I don't really have anything to add. Okay. Okay, homeless seen around killer or crime scenes 2 and 3 wearing gloves. Matches the height. Victim comes from Argentina. Matches the height. Matches the... Victim 3 suspected member of the process. Kill out the country wearing black gloves. I still think this is the most compelling evidence because the gun. So I think that I genuinely think that it's like that this old guy. Following is to publicly take a step. The moment of truth. Pick up. Hello? Hi. Ice cold. So, she takes a long heavy sigh. There's no background noise. She must not be at the station. Say nothing. Good. I'm listening. What do you got for me? Because if her voice sounds louder, more confident. You glance at the wall. The evidence, the suspects are lined up. All the evidence, a whole mess of your ideas. Your stomach's in a knot. Do I have to remind you, you cannot get it wrong. I have a meeting in 2 hours with the district attorney and the chief of police. Even the Minister of Interior will be at the corner of the room somewhere. Obviously, I'm thrilled, but I certainly don't want to put up too much pressure on you. You'll consider the smirk that she'll be wearing. You lay the receiver down on the table. Now you have a chance to decide. Third cop would have lit the countries wearing black gloves, but at the same time, this was seen around crime scene 2 and 3. Matches the killer's height, but doesn't have a good thing. Suspected member of the process. I think it's him. You got the phone number back to explain your trace to Lieutenant Bussett. Why, how the evidence, the sources. He listens without saying a word. You stop talking, catch your breath. Okay. I'll buy it. Seems like a solid choice. I can fish around a bit to vet your information. She pauses. You can almost hear her nodding. I'll call you tonight. Try to get some sleep. She pauses. No way she's going to hang up on such a positive note. No, she's probably going to. It might be your last night of freedom. She snickers and hangs up. You put the phone down. You might as well be standing in the ice-cold emptiness of outer space. You decide to go to bed, to sleep. Best way to kill time. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You slide into the open sofa bed. The events of the day clearly run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. I probably got it wrong. I probably got it wrong. I probably got it wrong. You open one eye. You had a hard night, restlessness. The impression of 5 years mattered into your hours. You get up quickly. A few minutes later, outside of your studio. Night 7. You're on downstairs when you catch sight of the Bussett. She's leaning up against the door of your cab, eyes wide open, forehead creased. Get in. You obey. It's too early to react. She settles in the back seat, flashes a smile. Good news, you're right, or at least the DA thinks your evidence is sufficient. Oh, okay. Did I get it right? No emotion in her voice, giving you the facts, nothing more. We're going to bring Fragonard in tonight. She nods, her expression clouds over. I have trouble. She freezes. Fragonard is a mentor of mine, and at the squads you can't understand. He's an institution, She stops, clears her throat. I need your help one last time. Later on tonight, we're going to get Fragonard to leave home and find a way to get him into your taxi. She pulls a pen out of her pocket and she puts a little cubby just above the car studio. The bug. You need a confession? If you feel like it, if you think you can manage. I've seen you get hurt enough to know you have a trick, a gift for getting people to talk. And think someone I can trust to get close to Fragonard without making him suspicious. He's a cop. He knows how we work. No one's ever sent a taxi driver to make an arrest. He won't put up a fight. He'll open up to you. Then he'll confess before things fall apart. Not too far from the hospital where he goes for his treatments, there's an alley under the construction. There won't be any civilians, just us and him. She sighs. 2 teens walk by the cab, and the intestinal weed fills the cab. Bus doesn't budge. I know you can do it. If you stick to a plan, nothing can go wrong. Understood. She gives you a typical smile, like an owner admiring her dog performance, a perfect trick. I'm off. She lays her hand on the door handle. You pick the suspect up, drive to the meeting point, and you're free. Easy as pie. She gets out of the cab and slams the door and walks away quickly. Shit. You hit the dashboard. Intense pain spreads through your hand. You grab the keys into the ignition and turn. The motor comes on. Your night is about to begin. Your last night. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.